If you're just getting into crypto or you've been burned, these are going to be my top 5 cryptos that I'm holding throughout the rest of 2025 and beyond, and why I'm investing smarter this time. I'm not a day trader. I'm not a guru. This isn't financial advice. I'm just documenting how I'm rebuilding my portfolio from scratch. This channel is about growing consistently, not gamble. So if you're like me, this is something you'll probably relate to, but let's just hop straight into it. Number one, Bitcoin. Now, I'm not about to sit here for 10 minutes and beat you over the head and tell you why you should buy Bitcoin. I don't care if you buy Bitcoin, but I'm going to buy Bitcoin. I don't care if I'm overweight 90% in Bitcoin. You can't have too much Bitcoin. Heck, maybe if you buy at the top of the bull market, but that's it. But overall, when I found out that there's only going to be 21 million of these coins to ever exist, that's when it finally clicked for me. But the main thing is that it's my foundation. It's where most of my capital will go. Institutions are backing it. You're going to be having people invest into Bitcoin every 2 weeks from their 401k. You have ETFs. The list goes on. But this isn't a Bitcoin video. And the projections for this thing is freaking crazy. Like, it's crazy. Number two is going to be probably my most volatile, is going to be Ethereum. Now, Tom Lee said it best. Basically, Ethereum is Manhattan before all the skyscrapers and everything was built on top of it. Now, I'm probably not going to be building apps on Ethereum. Who knows? Who knows? But it powers everything. It's going to be the backbone of the internet. And if you're dealing with this stuff for a while, you probably noticed at some point in some time you need Ethereum to even do certain things. It's freaking annoying, right? But it's going to be the foundation that everything's going to be getting built on top of. So that is ultimately why I'm investing in it. And it's also my revenue vehicle, if that makes sense. Bitcoin's so high, right? So like the returns aren't going to be like parabolic, like how they were in the past, where they're just shooting off everywhere, right? Like if you hold it in general for a long time, you'll see a return from Bitcoin. But in the case of Ethereum, you have basically the projection for more returns because of how low the price is for the asset. But we'll get into that a little bit later in some other videos, but keep Ethereum in mind. Now, the third one, this is probably going to be the most controversial, right? So hear me out, but it's going to be PAX Gold. Now, before you say anything, I get it, right? It's not real gold, but it is real gold. It's digital liquid gold. It's backed by gold. And you probably have heard a lot about gold if you do follow the news. It's at all-time highs. It's over 4,000, right? But I believe in it. One, because I've gain returns from it, but I understand the risk, right? It's on the internet. That's the only way I can access it, right? If I have to basically have a middleman to watch my gold, I have to trust that the people at PAX are going to take care of my gold. I get that, but I don't have time to be carrying around luggages of gold. But if you know anything about it, since the dawn of time, gold has been that hedge against markets, no matter at what period of time when things got volatile. So if you had gold, you had ownership, you had buying power. So that's how I treat PAX Gold. And plus, it's boring. I love that. I already have two coins that are doing this all the time, right? What I love about PAX Gold is that it's slow and steady, and when you zoom out, it just keeps going up. And that's going to bring us to the fourth one, and it's going to be USDC. Now, I know no one probably has this as the core of their portfolio, but hear me out. Because the beauty of things in exchanges with things like Coinbase and stuff like that is that this is the little debit card. But what I love about it is that you could have your dry powder or whatever you want to call it, but you can have your dollars sit there and it still earns money. That's better than a savings account. Now, there's other ways you can stake USDC, but I'm all about simplicity. So like I'm okay if I don't get the astronomical returns, as long as I'm getting returns and they're better than the stock market. And then that brings me to number five, and this is probably going to be the riskiest of all of them. It's going to be WEETH. Now this is my little DeFi experiment because this is why another reason why I even have this one to begin with. This Coinbase card is because you, in the like we're like the guinea pigs when it comes to this stuff. We're trying to figure out like all these seed phrases and keep all these passwords and all these wallets and stuff. There's going to be a point where everyone's going to be able to have something like a debit card or something like that, or maybe tap to pay, right? Something like that where they just spend regular fiat currency and it'll either convert or it can give them cash back in these type of currencies. So anything related to like my Coinbase card, for example, anything I buy, it automatically gets converted into Bitcoin. Now there's better cards out there that give you better returns for something like Bitcoin, like let's say the Coinbase One credit card. But the beauty of something like this is that you can just use it automatically, like no matter what. There's no verification other than like, like an ID, right? But there's no other like verification like layers to it. And with WEETH, it is basically wrapped staked ETH on the ether.fi platform. I know it's a lot. You don't even have to worry about getting into it. I'm not telling you to get into it, but basically when it comes to things like staking with stuff like Ethereum, basically any Ethereum I have, I move it over to ether.fi. And then this is where it gets beautiful because even though you have your capital in these assets, let's say you have an emergency. Like I don't have to sell my Ethereum. What I love so much about WEETH is that it taught me basically loaning my crypto and borrowing against it and using it as collateral. And that once again just blew my mind when I figured that out. So that's why I invest in that coin. So basically, any Ethereum I get, I convert it over into that. And even when it's volatile, doing all of its zigzags, I'm still getting rewards for holding that asset. I know it's a lot, especially if you are getting into this stuff. That's more of a, I wouldn't even say intermediate, it's still kind of beginner stage like kind of play. But when you figure out like all these other platforms that you can bridge it onto, swap it, stake it, right? That's where you can kind of get into the nitty gritty and the best parts about crypto. But once again, this stuff is too volatile, right? I don't have time for losing all of my money in altcoins and meme coins. And we have some stories about that. Trust me, I will upload them. But that's kind of it. That's my mix. It's a mix of stability, growth, and a little bit of some smart risk. I've tried chasing trends before. Most of the time, it didn't work. Sometimes, but most of the time, it didn't work. Like I said, we will post videos about this. I have some not crazy stories, but it's like, dang, why would I do that? So if you're building a portfolio like me, hit the sub button, hit the like button if you like the video. And if you have maybe something you agree or disagree with, you can leave that down in the comment section below. Or maybe you have your own coins that you think are the best to have for 2025 that you are holding. Let me know in the comments below. Next week, we'll talk about basically the tools that I use to track all of this and also how I use them in everyday life as far as work and things like that. Thanks for watching. See you next time.